What's up, YouTube? Thanks for joining me again. My name is Damon Hill, and today we're talking about studio lighting and specifically the things that YouTubers don't tell you when it comes to lighting your videos, especially to get that cinematic look. So today, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Damon. Glad you could be here. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to light your YouTube studio to get that cinematic, beautiful YouTube look to your video. But more importantly, I'm going to tell you what other YouTubers don't tell you when it comes to lighting your studio. And that is, you have to change your camera settings. It's not all lights. Yes, lights matter and they will help you get that cinematic, blurry, smooth look, but you can get all the lights in the world, put them in all the right places, get them exactly dialed in, but if you don't change your camera settings, it's not gonna get that cinematic look that you're wanting. And so today, I'm gonna talk to you first about how to set up your YouTube studio with a 3-point lighting system, and then second, I'm gonna teach you how to change your camera settings so that you can get the best, most cinematic YouTube look to your videos. So let's start off with the 3-point lighting system. Now, what is that? Well, a 3-point lighting system is a standard form of lighting a studio for photography and video. It involves 3 light sources placed in exact spots to give you the best lighting by changing the size, the diffusion, the intensity, the location. You can affect the light and the shadows of your subject, specifically being you for your YouTube videos. Now, there's 3 cameras for a 3-point lighting system, and that is your key light, your fill light, and your backlight. So let's start with the key light. Is important. It's the main light that's going to light you or your subject in your videos. Now, typically what you want is you want to be able to soften or diffuse the light. You don't want harsh, bright light directly on your subject, directly on you, because it's going to look too harsh and you're not going to look right. Now, the key light is the primary and brightest light of the 3-point setup. It's the most important one that you want to work on first. Now, typically the key light is set at an offset of around 45 degrees to your subject or to yourself. Now, I have mine set up at a 45-degree angle, and I have it diffused using a softbox. But you can place the key light directly next to your camera lens or behind your camera. The main thing again is you want to diffuse or soften that light by using a softbox. You do not want harsh light. You're not going to look good. Now, if you don't have a key light, you can use a window with sunlight, but if you use the window, you need to remember 2 things. One, don't put the window behind you, because then you're going to be underexposed, you're going to be in the shadows. You want to put that window either behind the camera or offset to about 45 degrees, and that should work fine as a key light. The second light in a 3-point lighting system is the fill light. Now, typically this is not as bright as your key light, and it's typically off to the side, not directly in front of you. And what a fill light does is it's going to fill in some of the shadows that are created by the key light. I'm going to show you what I look like without my fill light on. So here's what I look like with just the key light and not a fill light. Now, it looks good, but you notice that I do have some shadows happening on the side of my face over here, and this is where that fill light comes in. It just takes away some of those shadows and helps to get you separated from the background. So I'm gonna switch on my fill light right now, and what I'm using is an Aperture MC. It's a great light to have, and I have mine just propped up over here on my webcam. And as you can see, now that I have that fill light on, I don't have as much shadow, and it's helping to separate me from the background. And that brings up the last light in the 3-point lighting system, and that is the backlight. Well, why is that important? The backlight is there to shine on you from the back. It creates a rim of light around you, separating you from the background, giving your video a little bit more depth. As you can see, I'm just using a very simple lamp with an Edison bulb to give off that nice warm orange look to the light bulb, and just kind of softens up and brings me out of the background. So that's your 3-point lighting system, and that's important that you get that set up first. Now I'm going to tell you what other YouTubers don't tell you. They often just talk about the lights, getting them set up in the right place, but you have to also change your camera settings. That's vital in order for you to get that nice, smooth, cinematic look to your videos. So what we're talking about is changing the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. All three of those work together and can be adjusted to give you the look that you're wanting. So let's start with shutter speed. Well, how do you determine what shutter speed you need to put your camera on? Well, first you're going to want to put your camera in manual mode and then determine what is the frame rate that you're recording your video in. For instance, I'm shooting at 24 frames per second right now. Using the 180-degree rule, I'm going to double my frame rate, which would be 48, or in this case, I'm using a shutter speed of 150. So that gives you the best shutter speed. Next, we want to change the aperture. Now, there's two ways that you can control the aperture. The first way is by your lens. Here you can see an older video of mine where I was using a 10 to 18 millimeter lens that only had an f-stop of 4.5. And as you can tell, it doesn't give a lot of shallow depth of field. The things in the background are in focus as much as I am. But here, I'm using a new lens, which is a 10 to 20 millimeter, and it has an f-stop of 2.8. So you can see the difference that aperture that lens has. You can see in the background that the background features are not in focus. They're starting to blur. So that's the first way that you can change your aperture. But next, you want to change them in your camera settings. Again, going to manual mode, you want to set your aperture as low as it will go, because the lower the aperture, the more shallow depth of field, the more blurry your background becomes, which helps separate you from the background. So now you want to adjust your ISO in the manual settings to give you the right look. Now I'm using an ISO of 400, and that provides me the best quality look. It gives me that cinematic, smooth YouTube look that I'm looking for. Lowering the ISO to 400 along with a lower aperture and a lower shutter speed, you can see it gives me that cinematic YouTube look that I want in my videos, and you can have that too. So let's recap. When it comes to getting the right look for your videos, you need to change two things: your lighting setup and your camera settings. Together, they'll give you exactly that look that you want in your videos, that cinematic, smooth, professional look. So that about wraps up the video. I'm glad you can join me today. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And more importantly, I want to hear from you about what setup you have in your YouTube studio. If you would, comment below and let me know your lighting setup and what settings you're using on your camera. And also if you have any tips for me, because I'm always looking to improve. And in addition, if you like these videos and you want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you know when I drop a new video. And finally, I've left a question for you down in the comments. I want to know what video to make next. So please comment and vote on what video you want to see me make next. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.